Welcome to the Comic Binge. I am your host, Paul Herman. Shortly, we'll be joined by the Spider-Man Council members. And thank you for everyone for the new subscribers we've had recently on the Comic Binge. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the video. I would really, really appreciate that. And we have a lot of fun going on tonight. We've got top 5 underutilized Spider-Man characters, the villains or allies. I wanted to kind of mix it up here and just have some fun. A little smaller council, I should say. But either way, I'm excited to introduce everybody. So without further ado, I'm going to get this mother started because, I'm excited to do this, guys. As soon as I got a lot of pictures to go through, people, just bear with me. All right. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the Spider-Man Council. Meeting is in order. All right. Kind of introduce everybody. We got Nico. Nico, sir.
What's up, guys? Happy to be back. I'm pumped. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be wild.
I'm losing my voice, so I may have to rely on one of you guys to way better at talking than I am to make sure preserve my voice at all times. So next we've got the elder statesman who's barely older than I am, but I'm just going to rub it into him as much as I can because I don't have it because I'm always the old guy, it seems like, in these days. But Javi, I say elder statesman in the most highest regard because I adore you to death. Just know that. So
thank you.
Yes, but how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a good Spidey week for me.
Really? Oh yeah. Well, do you have it? Do you have it to show us?
Which one? Which thing?
Both.
The big one. No, good. I got a letter printed in Amazing Spider-Man 5.
Right. Well, yeah,
so
get that.
That's over in a box, but I haven't opened it yet. But
oh god,
yeah, I saw that.
My hot toy arrived, and I'm dying to crack this thing open tomorrow.
Dude, that thing is
it's got a newspaper and a cell phone and a scorpion tail and a backdrop.
Damn,
it's pretty legit.
Damn,
that's hot stuff.
That is definitely hot.
Find a spot next to Spidey 2099 on the shelf so he can be up there with his brother.
Do you have a 99 hot toy too?
Uh-huh.
Oh, damn.
That's the only Marvel ones I have are Spidey 2099 from the game and then Endgame Captain America.
Oh, okay. Really quick question. 2099. Are you a big 2099 fan?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in high school when he made his debut.
I was in middle school.
It was the 30th anniversary this year.
Oh,
right? Yeah. Yep. And I got to interview Rick Leonardi at the last Comic-Con we had here in Austin back in like 2019, I guess. Wow. What's up, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, Javi, just man. You're influencing me in the bad. Oh, nice. I like that. Well done, Nick. Well done. So council members, we may have a future episode.
That's a good one.
2099.
Especially with him being in the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
He's about to be popular again. He's about to be real popular.
We're gonna have to have a little conversation after the show about that one. All right. So Javi,
Peter David 2099.
Yep.
He's gonna be one of those people. It's gotta be Peter David.
Well, he's got 2 runs, but
pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, is it? Well, hold on. He didn't write all of the last 2099, did he?
Well,
you're right. He
the
did.
Solo title, yes.
Yeah, you're right. He did. I forgot because I remember the Maestro shows up eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was like midway or the beginning of volume 2 of his newer stuff.
Which I never finished either one. Yeah. I've never finished either series.
No.
Because it had like 5 or 6 or 8 issues, and then they relaunched it.
They relaunched it again. Yeah. I thought he was. The third one I thought he didn't write, but I think you're.
It was all Peter David.
Unless you're thinking of the Spencer stuff.
No,
during that time.
Yeah, that's
where they did that weird little.
We don't need to talk about that.
Well, I love Spencer's run for the most part, but that part.
That was a weak. That was a weak arc, honestly, in my opinion.
If Nick Spencer ever happens to listen to that, Nick Spencer, this is not an indictment on you at all, sir. I just didn't like those issues, but your most of your run, except for the very end, Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I love the run for the most part.
For the most part,
stuck the landing very strong. I'll say that.
Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Okay.
The last splash page of the kiss was pretty good.
That's true. That's true. All right. And Mr. Adam, howdy, sir.
Howdy.
Howdy,
y'all.
How are you doing?
Pretty
man?
good.
All right.
It was a nice day today.
It was. Well, in Washington, it was anyway. I'm not sure about you guys.
Here,
did you,
weather today, pretty much.
Did you do anything Spider-Man related this last week besides read comics?
Not really. I mean, I read the recent issue today. Finally,
Oh,
that was pretty good.
We're gonna talk about that actually a little bit. Oh, I forgot to get that cover, but oh well, it doesn't matter. All right. So today I'm very excited. We're gonna talk about our top 5 underutilized heroes and villains, and I just want to get this out of the way that I love being C-lister characters, not because to laugh at them, but I love them because there's something about them that makes them unique and intriguing and also relatable, even more relatable, I think, than the Marvel characters that we have, like Spider-Man, who's obviously one of the most relatable superheroes of all time. But the B and C-listers and the D-listers, there's something there you can relate to because they're struggling, right? There's that. I like that. And I always find it interesting when other writers will gravitate towards one character and then, or to one villain and to relatability and things like that. It's always fascinating to me. And for all intents and purposes, people might be thinking I might be adding this guy on my list. Spoiler alert, he's not on there. Frogman is actually getting his due.
In She-Hulk, right?
Well, yeah, and She-Hulk. Not only that, but he's also in the Iron Man series as a supporting character, which is hilarious. And I don't know, I love Frogman. I love him. He's great. But I feel like he's starting to get kind of like with She-Hulk coming out and in the Iron Man, it feels like there's going to be a renaissance of Frogman. So I didn't want to put him on there. But yeah, if it wasn't for the She-Hulk comic and Iron Man, you bet your ass I would have put it on there. So I did not put Frogman on there, but Frogman was the inspiration because I remember as a kid, I loved Frogman. I don't know why. I loved them. The Sal Buscema, J.M. DeMatteis issues, I loved them. And I just thought he'd be a really fun character to have around. No one agreed with me at the time, but it's cool because we're starting to kind of see them branch out. And I like the idea of Spider-Man branching out. He has such a rich rogues gallery, allies gallery. It's crazy. So I want to talk today about what we would like to see in the comics more explored. And the beauty of this is the fact that if we are talking about it, then Sony's probably like mining through like what characters can we use? And I'm not. I mean, like they're crazy with the whole wrestler guy. I have no idea why they're using that guy, but whatever.
Yeah, that's
their thing. But
it's a misstep. But we'll see.
Agreed. Yeah,
the guy's in 2 issues. Let's just leave it at that.
In 2 issues.
Yeah.
Well, we're still waiting for the Aunt May movie, so we'll leave it at
that. The Aunt May movie. I forgot that was a thing. I forgot.
I'm pretty sure that's been shelved, but
well, here's what we got to talk about.
God damn it, Sony. God damn you.
There's a lot, and we'll talk about this on a different Giuseppe Pizza time. There's a lot of now all of a sudden like rumors about the Madam Web movie coming out, which very interesting. It's going to be a little bit of a letdown if it's not true. But when you look at the Sony leaks, it's not that, and so
I mean, Madam Web, I think is actually an interesting character for her own movie.
It's Dakota Johnson, though.
That's why it could be something more than what.
I'm with you. I think it's probably I think it's something more. But wait, I digress. So we're gonna start off with Nico here, and he's gonna give off his top 5. And while he gives up his top 5, I'm going to throw out some pictures of everybody. So, Nico, I'm going to try to keep up. So bear with me.
Do you want me to explain or just name the 5?
No, explain as you go. Explain.
Okay,
explain.
As I go, explain.
Yeah, don't go. Okay. Everyone, don't go long. I'll stomp you if you go too long, but,
Sure.
but don't have to go like don't go.
Oh yeah, small blurbs.
Baby bear,
little synopsis.
Bear. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Nico, your top 5 underutilized villains or heroes of the Spider-Man comic books. Go.
Here we go. Just to quickly comment on something that you said, when these characters are used, they also usually end up being really memorable for those reasons. And that's what I went for as characters. I think are really memorable that you don't see enough of. But yet we're gonna see Doc Ock 90 million times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have 1 ally and 4 villains. So I'm starting at number 5 with my ally, and it's Robbie. Robbie is such the voice for reason, and he's the perfect counter to Jonah in terms of how he feels about Spider-Man. And I feel like I love Spider-Man's relationship with the city and the people, and I feel like I really like stories and especially characters and the concept of like a Gene DeWolf, who people who were on his side and who had a voice and were on his side. It's a really nice combination, and I actually love Robbie's presence in the Sam Raimi trilogy, and I really wish we had him in the Garfield and the Tom Holland trilogy as well, and even in the comics more. And then especially when they developed him and gave him a lot of stuff with Tombstone, it was very, very interesting. That goes to my 4th character, who, thank goodness for the Amazing Spider-Man run right now, because my number 4 is Tombstone, a really interesting, grounded villain, and someone who's relatable in terms of his history of being, ridiculed. And then you add the father aspect. He's one of those really tough as nails physical villains, but there's also a tender and emotional side to him too. And those kind of villains are what work the best with Peter, because of those thoughts and feelings he has too, and just the person that Peter Parker is. So I'm so pumped to see Wells right now really try to make Tombstone this massive force. And I haven't read issues 4 and 5, but from where we started, he very much feels like the presence, and just the way Paul reacted, it sounds like I'm going to be happy there.
You should read those ASAP.
Okay, then I'm going to be happy. Then I'm already getting my wish doing
especially
the show.
When you said when you say the tender emotional side.
Oh man, I gotta read this ASAP. Okay. Now you guys got me excited. I might hop off the show right now to go read it. No, I'm kidding.
You have my permission. You didn't need it, but really quickly, I wanted to kind of bring up something. I loved your list specifically because you're like, because I think you brought up a great point about Tombstone. He's just now Wells is tapping back into the character. He is one. I 1000% agree with you. Underutilized, and that Sal Buscema. It's just so good. It's just so good. I mean, he just looks incredible. I think he draws the best Tombstone.
Oh yeah, he's
like this stuff is fantastic.
It's really that pop collar that hits so well.
Yeah, dude,
that 90s
so
pop
cool.
collar.
I love it.
Why
Pop
it's
that
so
collar,
cool.
you know what I'm saying?
Character with the collar. So going to my number 3, this more of a really personal one, because it's an example of, I think, an underutilized one, that one piece of media for me really utilized them perfectly, is Smythe / the Spider Slayers, going back to that 90s animated series, who, I mean, they are such a force in that. And I think when it comes to comics and animated stuff and the live action film, like, they would be such an interesting threat for a lot of reasons, especially in the modern day and age. And just the character this stuff is fantastic. Just the
which one, Nico? Did you have one in mind?
For a specific no, just however you want to use them. However you want to use them for me.
To piggyback off that real quick, I think it would just be cool to see Spider-Man fight robots that are programmed to kill him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't really matter how you use them.
Yeah,
but I mean, the father or the son.
Oh, either. No, definitely Alice.
Yeah, it's Alistair. It's gotta be the
definitely Alistair.
I think what you do is you well, now, you definitely use Alistair, but if you adapt it, you can. There's a legacy aspect there. You can play on that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And especially with like the way of the villains being now portrayed and stuff, and just in this modern technological ages, those like slimy Silicon Valley people, kind of what they did for Luther and BVS. I mean, going the Alistair route, I think, would be really, really interesting.
That would be easy to do for Alistair, I think.
Yeah.
100%. Now, number 2 is responsible for probably the most controversial thing
All right, here
ever.
we're going with
One of them in terms of Spider-Man, but it goes back to that memorable aspect. Like, if you look at characters who have hurt and impacted Spider-Man, the Jackal's up there. I mean, it's hard
That's a
to
good
be
pick.
like, for the impact this character
Well,
had on Spider-Man and Peter, the fact that they don't show up all the time, and you can go crazy. Once again, I'm also thinking about like how you could use them now and develop them and change them, and
mhm.
with the concepts here and just the look and feel and everything, I think you can do some really, really wonderful stuff here. And because I know that this one, I have a strong feeling is going to pop up again, so I'm going to let some other people talk about this one. Number 1 for me is the Chameleon. Because I have that nostalgia for that. Now, I wasn't around at the time, but he is one of he's pretty much his first real foe.
Yeah.
And just the disguise piece is always an interesting. I know it's a trope that's used, but I think it's really interesting. You can do a lot with him, and then going back to the tail end of the 300s. I mean, he also hurt Peter, arguably one of the most times ever in his life, by showing him, that life he could have had. And I think exploring that now in the comics I thought this story, I was very hyped, and you could go back to the Italians for Spidey episodes. This didn't go the way I wanted, because I was thinking, with the way things happened after One More Day and everything, they were going to use this chameleon stuff to kind of trick Peter, guide him back or whatever, and it went a really different way. But
I actually like that idea.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do something really crazy with that, and then it went the route with his sister and everything,
which I liked. I like
that.
Yeah,
I like that because it reminded me of this one show with J.K. Simmons called Counterpart, which is kind of about that sort of thing. But I digress.
Interesting. I love J.K. Simmons, so I'll have to check that out. But to me, it's the Chameleon. He should be in so much more stuff, and I'm actually genuinely shocked they haven't used him in live action yet. I'm genuinely shocked, because he would really work, at least for maybe a supporting villain or maybe a setup villain.
Definitely.
But he's interesting. My dad likes the Chameleon a lot, so he geared me towards a lot of stories as a kid. So I think I'm bona fide him. But even like this, like even the way that you can make him look now, like look at him in like the 3-piece suit with the mask.
Right here. There's
but also like letting him, especially with, once again, in the comics now, but also live action, where Peter is in both those, you can do a lot with, tricking him about lives and people, and to try to get his identity, which I think is, I know they explore with Mysterio a little bit, but I love when he has to, I love when his identity getting revealed has stakes to it too. Like that's always a story I will quickly go back to and love, even if it's done 8, 9, 10 times in a row. So it's the Chameleon for me is my number 1. I think he should be in something as soon as possible now, yesterday, and not the Chameleon Conspiracy. No disrespect to it, but
that ASM 80 cover, that just brings back a whole bunch of memories. That was one of the first comics that I remember reading as a kid. It was in a compilation they had in my library, and that was my first experience with the Chameleon, and it, just cut deep with like Gwen Stacy and Captain Stacy. Like that's where I formed so much of my opinions, was from like this story, because I read it all the time, checking it out from the library. And I was surprised that was like his second appearance. Like like is the first villain he fights, and it goes years before.
And then like his next appearance isn't until
with Craven.
There's that. But I mean, like after this issue, his next appearance is with the funky multicolor costume, and that's 8 years later.
You mean this amazing costume? Holy crap, that thing is incredible.
He could just make, why I think he'd be so effective is he can make Peter confront so many demons in his life and in his past, and that's really when, in my opinion, Peter Parker stuff is at
I just want to say, I'm not a Chameleon fan, just for the record. I've never been a big Chameleon person.
Sure.
I actually really liked this storyline way more than I was anticipating. Remember how much I was Adam on the show on the Spidey Dude experience. I like this stuff.
Possibly. It feels like years. It feels like years.
No, but I really liked this arc only because of the Teresa Parker aspect.
Sure.
That was fantastic. So
I was a victim of expectation for it for sure, because I created a whole story in my mind. Now I will say he is apparently going to show up in the Craven film, but I don't.
Craven.
Now Spider-Man in there, so it doesn't matter.
Did you guys read the Web Spinners? There was like 3 issues and like towards the end of Web Spinners. That series.
I need to read that series. I've never read anything from that.
I
won't say anything about it, but you need to read the Chameleon story.
Okay.
There's some interesting stuff.
I'm getting sold left and right. Javi, Adam Pollard selling me left and right.
I know.
Salesman. That's why I love you guys.
That's why I love Javi. He educates me. Even as a diehard Spider-Man fan, I'm always learning from people.
It's got some deep roots in Spidey history.
That's rad. That's rad.
You need to read that one.
Really quick before I deflect to everyone else, I want to ask you, what did you think about the Clones Conspiracy? Not the story, because I think the story is complete shite. But what do you think of the look of this Jackal? I kind of, even though it's Ben Reilly, spoiler alert, I don't care. It's so bad. You don't want to read it.
But it's a cool look.
The cool look.
I like it.
Yeah,
it's a cool look.
A suit with a funky mask is always going to look cool. Probably.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's you could do a lot with this look. Once again, it's all the concept with him too, and I'm always down for changing the looks and everything. But I would prefer something like that, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like this, and everything too. But I gotta tell you, this Jackal, which is AKA Green Goblin meets the Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I which, by the way, I think Mark Bagley's best art is probably in this era. Maybe
it's hard to argue.
So good, dude.
It's arguably his peak, sure.
Yeah,
though I'm so biased with him that I think
his new stuff's really good. I think.
I mean, Life Story.
Life Story's good.
That was like 2 years ago.
Well, we'll talk about Life Story one day.
Yeah,
we'll talk about.
He was at the top of his game, I would say, in Life Story.
Yeah. Maybe
some of the designs weren't,
costumes. Okay.
But the characters themselves were.
By the way, this Smythe, I'm with you.
When he's got the long hair, like he's, and like you could make a cool, like Adam said, a nice legacy story with him.
Yeah.
And his father and.
Right.
And even if you wanted to pump some extra tragedy or extra trauma or something in there to make it more relatable to the audience or more, sensitive. I think it would be dope. And you get like a Cillian Murphy to play him, and you're like off to the races, and then you're off to the races.
Anyone want? Okay, sorry.
I was gonna say you wouldn't bring back Ryan from The Office to play him.
No.
Anyone else want to comment about the Nico's top 5 here?
Well, I picked Robbie. Spoiler alert. So I'll talk about Robbie.
Something interesting. Didn't you listen to me at the beginning of the show? You butt munch. No, I'm just kidding.
I did.
You forgot.
It's going. I know. I kind of remembered, but the show's going off the rails.
I know. It's fine.
No, I think Robbie. Robbie's just a great character. He's basically
save it for yourself, man. Come on.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, you wanted people to jump in.
Well, I did, but not about your own character. Jeez. All right.
I'll counter Nico's opinion on Robbie.
Yes. Thank you.
Who is a great character. I will say that. But in terms of like the Raimi movies, like when they first came out, I was so excited just to see that Robbie was there at the Bugle.
Yeah.
But like in hindsight, looking at it now that it's done, like there was nothing to that character other than the name. Like he's basically basically the Commissioner Gordon of the Burton Schumacher movies, who just kind of dumps some plot exposition and is name only the character, not someone that we've seen like in later iterations where they're more the essence of who that person is.
I will say.
So I would love to see Robbie get another go around in like the MCU where he actually serves as Robbie Robertson.
Yeah.
And kind of like the moral compass.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do want to say in Spider-Man 2, because I always have to go to bat for the movie.
Yes.
There's some subtle Robbie
Oh, for
stuff
sure.
in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's very
yeah.
subtle,
There.
but it's there. But that's like the peak of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like in the MCU, I hope they should bring him in, and they need to do more with him
Yeah.
because there is a lot of stuff you can do with him.
I'm telling you, man, you make a prestige Spider-Man TV show on Disney Plus,
I'm
Oh,
for
and
it.
you can give Robbie like a full-on like major arc.
It'll
Yeah.
happen one day. But really quickly, I love this from Craven's Last Hunt.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, who does Mary Jane go to first when
Yeah.
she knows Peter might be in danger? Like he might be done. Who does she go to
Right.
first? She goes to freaking Robbie.
yeah.
That's telling.
No,
That's very telling.
Look at that. Look, I can't tell him. And look at it. He already knows. We already know he knows.
Yeah.
he knows.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so freaking good. I love Robbie. He's so awesome.
Hell yeah.
Robbie just beating the crap out of Tombstone himself, like just taking him on his own.
This was
Robbie. It's exactly. Javi, did you have anything you wanted to add besides Robbie?
I know. I think Nico's choices are all pretty spot on and interesting ones.
He's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, he's a great one.
It's straight up right now. I just want to say for the record, like Tombstone was 1000% underutilized. Even Wells using him now is still like you just need to keep using him. He's such a
He hasn't really been used in like decades.
Well,
Like he was
there's that-
used. Yeah, the spiral thing. He was used in that Conway did after Superior, and then he's like had little bit moments, and he's like a guest star in other titles. But as a Spider-Man villain, it feels like he hasn't really had as much to do as he did in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
He has some nice stuff in the. I mean, it's small, but in the more recent Spider-Man PS4 game, that
Which I thought was a great.
Yeah.
obviously was a nice little thing in there too. Yeah.
Javi, you were going to say something, and we'll move on. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Just that I think, there's a power vacuum now with Wilson Fisk being the mayor and then now whatever, not the mayor. Like, I think now is a perfect time for Tombstone to shine. Like, I hope wherever Wells leaves us with, to not spoil anything for those who haven't read it.
Yeah.
Like, I hope we just keep getting more of him in that vein, because I think this is the perfect time for him to rise.
All right. We have settled on Nico's top 5. So now we get to this is gonna be exciting, people. Because Javi, like he led me. I think you led me on purpose because your last one, I was like, what the hell? I had no idea. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. Javi he did not disappoint me. I knew he's gonna throw me some curveballs. And he did. Okay, so Javi, go just like with he DM'd it to me. Go down your top 5. So tell me your first one.
So number 5 is the Molten Man,
Who's
who's all the way back from Amazing 28.
Interesting.
And,
anyway, continue.
It was
you know what that means.
It was one of those ones that I read in Marvel Tales growing up as a kid, and the whole idea of like it's Spider-Man's graduation day, and he's got to deal with this guy, but he doesn't want to get hurt because he doesn't want to get bruised to go walk down the get his diploma with the bruised face, and just where they took the character from there, because he starts just like a basic one-off, but then all of a sudden he's related to Liz Allen, and he gets
stepbrother, right? Is this
stepbrother? So he kind of works for Osborn for a little bit, and he gets tied in with Harry, especially when we get to Spec 200 or 189.
Yeah.
So we've seen him recently as far back as Amazing 800, where he was more normal looking. But I don't think if we've seen him since then, he hasn't made an impression on me in the last 100 issues. So I think now would be a good time to kind of see how he would interact with Peter and Spider-Man. With Harry being dead, there's conflict to be had there. How does he feel about Spider-Man? How does he feel about Peter? Is he going to be on their side? Are there things going on that's going to make him go back to his old ways? Like, I think there's a lot of potential in what the Molten Man can do. And he's just always been a childhood favorite of mine. So
yeah,
that's why he made my list.
I'm very interested to talk about this potentially later. Continue, Javi. Potentially.
So number 4, I went with Typeface, whose first appearance was Peter Parker Spider-Man 23.
God damn it, Javi.
He's such a, everyone like rags on him and says how bad he is, but I really enjoyed these issues that Jenkins wrote. It was kind of a weird time in Spider-Man with the whole Mackie Byrne reboot, and it wasn't necessarily my favorite era, but when Jenkins came on and he started doing these like quirky, insightful one-off stories, like they just really struck a chord with me again. And it just, I don't know, I've never hated Typeface. Yeah, he's weird, but
I've never read these comics before.
I think
a blind spot for me. Like from like basically from like the Clone Saga to like to right
before JMS.
Before JMS,
Yeah.
I'm like it's like a I need to go back and read all that at some point.
This is right there on the cusp of JMS, and this is like
Yeah.
when things started rolling again for the Spider titles across the whole universe. So
It's
I
Professor Javi today because Paul, I'm with you. I don't know who this is,
Bro,
So
I don't
take
know
my
who this
Spider-Man card. Like he put
Yeah.
this up. He said Typeface, and and then he put up this picture, and I'm like,
This
But
is the next.
holy
I think
Sony's
they're
gonna
do something,
Sony's gonna announce the Typeface movie
The
any day
Hobbyverse.
now.
right?
Dude, the Hobbyverse, it lives through
The
type.
I want to
Hobbyverse-
see like Marvel do like how they do the HUs and all that.
Yeah.
And do like an amazing 904.tf and like just pull like a Spencer where we get this really insightful, like he did with the Gibbon, and get this really tragic,
Yeah.
like moving story with like Typeface, and just, you know, give him the dignity and the respect that a man with type on his face deserves.
I can tell you right now, as a storyteller myself, as a half-assed storyteller, I can tell you I can already think of and no crap, I can already think of a pitch for him. Like already, like there is something tragic and interesting about this character just by visual looking, not knowing anything about it at all. So, anyone else want to say anything else about Typeface? Adam, do you have anything you wanted to add?
no, I
deep
gotta
cut.
learn real fast. I gotta learn real fast. This is the deepest of cuts. Respect to the professor. True.
Ooh, Mike's bringing it. It's Typeface in time. I like that.
That's the next Sony movie, dude.
Dude, I actually would. I think a Typeface movie's already just by the name alone sounds more interesting than the wrestler guy they want to do.
Then El
Yeah.
Muerto.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, this is way interesting. Okay, all right. So you blew our minds really quickly. What is his origin? Really quick, Javi.
He was like in Vietnam or something, and
Well,
also
I
a
didn't
teacher,
expect
and people weren't respecting grammar. But then he like goes around, kind of talks like Shakespearean, and then, you know, he was on a quest and he met some guy with like an ampersand on his jacket, and he's like, "Oh, will you join me?" And he's like, "No," and then he just starts beating him up.
So he's
I'm gonna
actually
do
like a
that.
grammar Nazi. He's like
Yeah.
an actual
Yeah,
Nazi.
and then
Oh,
he's
that's
got some
hilarious.
bombs, and there's an alien involved, an alien abduction.
Now I gotta read
It's-
this. It
okay.
keeps
It's
going.
is it maximum security?
Comics right now.
Yeah.
He shook me at Vietnam, and now we're
I
at
know, dude. Javi, you're
Yeah.
it's
wow.
yeah, it's Professor Javi. He just
It's Professor
schooled all of
Javi.
us. Yeah, he's
We
schooled all
got
of
the
us.
Reverend. We got Professor Javi.
Oh, there we go. Yep,
Now
Professor Javi. There you go.
Well, I mean, there's Professor Bailey. I don't want to step on his toes.
Well,
'Cause
no,
I
no,
have a lot
sir,
of
but
respect
sir.
for Michael Bailey.
Sir, you are the professor of Spider-Man and Batman, sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll,
so
I'll
don't
take
even-
that then.
Yeah, don't even. Yeah, there can be more than one professor.
That's right.
You know,
You know, different subject matter.
exactly.
I guess.
PhDs and all that.
Yeah, exactly, and all that. All right, so all right, moving on. Are you done with this? Are you want to say anything
Yeah.
more about Typeface?
Are you
No,
done with
I
this?
think his face says it all. Literally.
Okay, who's next on your list, sir?
So this one's kind of inspired by our last council meeting, rereading all the JMS stuff. Number 3 for me is Lieutenant William Lamont, who first appeared in ASM Volume 2, number 41. He kind of looks like a George Stacy clone.
Yeah,
But I feel like we don't have Gene DeWolf, obviously, and he hasn't been seen since the JMS era. But like Spidey needs a friend on the force that he needs his own Commissioner Gordon, basically. And they kind of have like this irreverent back and forth where they make fun of each other, as only Spidey can poke fun at people and at himself. And he just was a great supporting character, and I'm sad that he went away. And rereading those issues with you guys last time, I just like, oh man, what happened to this character? Like, he's great. Like, Spidey has like such a vast and deep supporting cast that we don't see enough of. And who else is going to get Spidey into a prison in a trench coat to talk to an inmate?
Those comics were so good, by the way. They were so much fun to read again.
I'm so thankful to do that to you guys.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember I wanted to bring it up on the council meeting last time, but I just kind of forgot. There were like 800 of us on the show, so it's hard to get everyone to remember everything. But I remember liking this guy and thinking, whatever happened to him? I figured they maybe tied him up, but he just disappears, right? So
as far as I remember.
But you're right. Spider-Man usually has had traditionally sometimes even like I was reading the 80s stuff. There's that, I forgot his name, but during the Sin Eater line, there's that cop that he's at odds with.
I love that story about
Sin Eater's incredible.
Sin Eater,
but like even before and afterwards, there's that they have a running like relationship and storyline of like how he doesn't get trusted, and like I like that. Even though they didn't do anything with it really, it kind of just falls, kind of like this, kind of fades away. It was interesting, but you're right. I thought JMS was building up something really fascinating with this character. And I'm not sure if he got derailed because of Marvel being like, you have to incorporate New Avengers and all this and that kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. They should bring him back for sure. Anyone else on Mr. I already forgot his name. I'm terrible with names.
No, I love it. Javi. Keep going though.
Cool.
I know.
All right, man.
You guys have no idea what's coming.
Another childhood favorite, and I'm really sad that Zach's not here.
Oh man.
For this one, is the Looter. Number 2 is the Looter.
Okay.
Norton G. Fester himself, man. First appearance is ASM 36, and look at that Ditko cover.
That's
it's like science cover. And a little bit of Doctor Strange style thrown in, and this is an early Gwen Stacy appearance as well in this first issue. But he had also kind of like the Chameleon for a bit, just like an appearance here, a random one there. If you even look at like Stan Lee's dialogue for that first issue where he's working on the Meteor, he's got that little editor's note. Norton G. Fester is a part-time nut, because I mean the guy's just insane. And just Stan Lee just took the piss out of him. And even when Spider-Man beats him, he's like, I don't know who this guy is.
That was a recurring theme.
So when DeZago brings him back during the Clone Saga or the Ben Reilly era, he plays up that same joke again in the editor's note. And it's just the way that Ringo does his 90s hair now, and just the whole loot. And then just this joke, the way the comedic timing is. If you're such a great looter, why didn't you just steal the second Meteor? Like, he's just a personal childhood favorite. And I'd love to see someone else who, is a good comedic writer take a stab at him again. Cause it's been a really long time.
Yeah, he has. He was in Spencer's Superior Foes, wasn't he? Did he show up there?
I didn't read that.
I didn't read that either.
So yeah, that
you guys are killing me.
I read like a volume maybe when Spencer started ASM, but then I lost track of.
Don't tell me you haven't read Deadly Foes of Spider-Man either, right?
Which one was first, Deadly or Lethal?
Deadly was first.
Then yeah, I've read Deadly and I've got Lethal digitally, but I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, Lethal is not as good as Deadly. Deadly's great.
Yeah, Deadly was awesome.
Another future council member episode. Deadly Foes, baby. Deadly Foes. We'll read all the foes, including Superior. We're making Javi read it. We're making Javi read Superior.
Right.
So, but anyone else want to mention anything about the looter? Any other?
No, but hell of a deep cut. Hell of a deep cut. I have 2 guesses on his one. I gotta see if I'm right, but I'm not gonna say.
You're never gonna get it, dude.
I might. Well, I don't
All
know.
right, all right, Nico, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Let's see.
Is it deeper than this?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, then I'm not gonna guess because then no. Well, then I'm not gonna guess. Mine was not as deep. I was gonna guess
Okay.
the spot.
No, because I mean the spot's getting his due though.
Well, now,
He's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
Tombstone. It's been
Yeah,
like
yeah.
recently, but the spot is when I felt like someone was gonna use.
No. He before. If it was like if we would have done this 6 months before, 1000%. Like he would have been on this
Yeah,
list.
it's recent.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be a major motion picture star soon.
yeah.
So.
So Adam, who can you guess what it is?
I have it on the brain because of certain things, but is it Facade?
No.
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
No.
I thought Warrant would be on Zach's list. I almost used him as a joke. Oh, Warrant, such an amazing character. So bad. I would have if I ever did a Marvel comic, I'd want to do Warrant versus Solo, and how ridiculous.
Oh wow!
Right? Come on, right?
You make me want to go dig out my Mark Bagley trading cards and look at all the characters we've forgotten about.
Oh Solo, oh Solo, we forgot ye so quickly. All right, hit him with number one. Man. You ready for number
one?
Hold on, let me get a picture ready. Hold on, let me get
the person I want to see the most return.
Hold on, I got
first appeared. I'm drum rolling you, man.
Okay, hold on.
First appeared in Peter Parker Spider-Man number 21. Kevin.
Oh my God.
Kevin may look like a piece of cheese, but he's actually a super intelligent
hold on.
Alien spore thing. He's only in like 3 issues.
You blew Nico.
Nico's
gone.
This.
But any piece of cheese that's been in my fridge too long gets nicknamed Kevin because of this comic book. And Peter's been going through a rough time for like the last 2 years now. He hasn't been with Mary Jane because she's been filming a movie. Now, whatever happened in the 6-month time period, we don't know. He was in a coma before that. So what Peter needs right now is solidarity. He needs someone in his corner that's going to root for him no matter what. Yeah. And that is Kevin. He needs that eternal cheerleader in his corner making comments on, like, go back to the silent issue, Paul. Like, this is how much Kevin thinks of Peter. Peter opens the door to the fridge and love. He's filled with love. And he's excited. And then Peter closes the door and his heart's broken. Like, Peter needs someone like that in his life.
Let me tell you why this is brilliant.
I know.
Let me tell you why this is brilliant. Not only is it brilliant because of it just is. This is, and I know we were kind of saying in comics, but I try to think of it as everything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
This is so up the MCU's humor alley.
It is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially with him being on his own. Like, this might be the best pull of the day because this is totally something they would do. This is 100% something they would do.
Even better if you watch Tick Tick Boom starring Andrew Garfield, aka Peter 3. Yes. There's a scene in the movie where he opens up the fridge when they're singing, and there's a piece of moldy cheese.
Oh, dude!
Plate. Yeah, shared universe.
No,
Kevin.
So I just love that this attention to detail.
That is.
Right, like so Javi, like, so here's how he does it, guys. I want to kind of bring you behind the curtain a little bit. So I'm like, I tell everyone, hey, DM me individually so no one knows what you're getting, so we can kind of reveal it on the show. And of course, Javi's the first person to do it, which is great because Javi's the man. And so Javi like does 5, like he's giving me like typeface. I'm like, awesome, I love it, this is great. And then he gives me, I ask him, what the hell is this? And he's like, Kevin. I was like, oh my god, like this is incredible. Like this is
a moment.
Exactly. It's
this
a hobby.
is a crucible Spidey Council moment.
This is the hobbyverse that needs to
This
come
is-
to fruition.
The hobbyverse is like objectively though the most interesting thing
No, yeah,
ever be done to Spider-Man.
Well,
Like, I swear to God, it is objectively the most interesting thing.
you blew my mind with the whole thing about Peter and the fact that Peter in the MCU and this would be tailor made for you. It's perfect.
It's perfect. This is
perfect.
what they would do. This,
Yeah.
in fact, I think we should all somehow go bet money that Kevin is in the MCU in the next 5 years. I swear to you.
Kevin should be. Yeah.
Swear to you.
I love it.
I think it's time to start like a
If
Twitter
Taika had-
campaign and a Twitter account
Yeah.
for Kevin.
If Taika had
Daily
Spidey,
Kevin,
if
Hey.
Taika
Daily
had
Kevin, the moldy
Spidey,
cheese.
it would be in there, and it would be Taika's voice talking.
Anyone want before we wrap up on Javi's list? We can always come back and visit it again if we want.
Oh yeah,
but
we're coming back to Kevin.
is there anything else you want? Is there anything else you want to talk about on his list, really quick, before we move on?
We need to talk about Kevin.
From
God. Okay.
I want to talk about.
We need order here.
I want to
Adam.
save. I want to wait for you two because there's something that I want to address that
Okay, we'll wait. Yeah.
appeared on Javi's list that I almost used a different piece, and I wonder if either of you use this other piece that I want to.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
want to ask you.
You know, I just I can't wait to talk about Molten Man eventually. I don't know why?
Actually.
Oh, I
No,
wonder why.
Yeah, I have no idea why. But I love your list, Javi. It's very unique,
Thank you.
interesting. Oh, I have one question. If no one else has any other things you want to add for Javi's list right now, I have one last thing, and I'll move on to Adam's. Anyone, really quick? Nobody?
The Molten Man is a great poll.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Remember that I said that because I have something to talk about later.
Don't worry, it's
Gotcha.
coming at some point. I just want to ask you guys really quick, and Javi specifically, do you think that this character can only be done through comedic, like only straight comedy, or could it be played for a little bit of both, like comedy tragedy a little bit? What do you think?
Both.
Okay, both. All right,
You
I
could
mean,
do
James
both.
Gunn did it with Polka Dot Man pretty well.
that's true.
So I think you could do both. Like I mean, you would need a strong person behind the
The writing of it, yeah.
writing, camera, however you use them.
Sure.
But I think it could be done.
Javi?
No, that's a really good analogy. I mean, you get someone like Dishmulchin to do it, and you
Yeah,
could totally bring out both sides of it.
yeah.
Right on. All right, we are done with Javi's amazing list.
That's
Again, Nico, your list was amazing too. Don't get me wrong.
dang.
It's all.
Man.
But
I have to follow this.
I know. But I wanted to go, one more, traditional list, I think, which is 100% valid, to like a ridiculous list like Javi's, and then go back to a little more reality, So
It was good.
Back on Earth.
It was good
Yeah.
pacing by Pete Thug here.
yeah, exactly. So what's your number 5 here?
I wasn't okay. I was sort of thinking of it in descending order. I was kind of not.
Yeah, just
But,
throw
you know,
throw a name out. Just throw a name out there. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I just wanted to because the order I put it in is basically I had an ally, a reluctant villain and an ally, and then
Yeah.
villains.
Sure.
So yeah, let's start with Robbie.
Okay. Back to my boy, Robbie.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Robbie. Nico said it pretty well.
Yeah.
He's the voice of reason. He's a good counterpart to Jonah. I think especially going forward in the MCU, having this kind of like mentor figure is something that Peter might need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I do think that actually the idea that he's the opposite of Jonah, kind of, even though Jonah has his moments, I think in like this current MCU environment that we're in, if we have Robbie as like a rival media outlet that Peter works for, that's more. Yeah, exactly. I've been saying this around you do the Daily Globe as the anti-Daily Bugle, and you have it be more reputable, and you have Robbie run it, and then you bring in Randy, he goes to college with Randy, and they become best friends. I think I think there's a lot of potential, and like because just in the comics, he there's that whole like, does he know that Peter's Spider-Man? Does he not? It's heavily implied, but they never actually say it. In Spencer's run recently, in that first issue, when he's like, Peter, like, I've got your back, but I can't keep you employed at the Daily Bugle if your doctorate isn't legit. So as much as it pains me, you got to go. And it's just, that's kind of there's emotional weight. I don't know. I think he's a great ally that's in Peter's corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
And so the reluctant villain, Hobie Brown, aka the Prowler.
Okay.
That's a great one.
I think Hobie's interesting because he's a reluctant villain. This is not him. This is Scorpion. But I'll riff as Paul is finding that image. He's a guy. He's a working class guy who feels screwed over. So he's like, I'm gonna steal stuff as the Prowler, and I'm going to then, bring it back as Hobie Brown and get my due, And then, so he's like a villain with weird intentions, but he's a good person and he's a smart guy. He builds all this Prowler tech that he has, the claws and the gas gauntlets and the boots. He's another guy that I think would be good for adaptations as as an ally, like someone that Peter, stops and then he turns over a new leaf and kind of becomes a hero of his own. I don't know. I think I think there's some interesting stuff you could do with him.
Here's what I would say about the Prowler. I'm curious what y'all would say. I think the Prowler is definitely underutilized, but I think it's because Marvel doesn't know how to utilize him at all.
Yeah,
they tried, and they're like, "Well, we'll launch a Prowler series in the middle of Clone Conspiracy, and we'll kill off the character." Yeah. What? It's just like what? And then with the whole Miles Morales Prowler thing, which I think is phenomenal. Like the original comic is so good, and
that's a good use. It's a good alternate version, and now he kind of is the Prowler to a lot of people. So
yeah,
that's why Hobie has kind of become Hornet now a little bit. And I think you could kind of go into that sort of stuff too. I don't know.
I like those characters.
Yeah.
But the Prowler, but the Hobie Brown Prowler is underutilized, and they botched it. To be honest, I think there is a lot of potential with the character, but they just haven't found the right writer, and to be frank, artist, because I think this costume is phenomenal.
Yeah, this looks cool, man.
And
I don't know if he needs the cape. The cape depends, but the mask and the claws and stuff
would be alright.
It's great. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this version of the Prowler could be utilized better. Always could have been utilized better. It sucks because they tried, but they just could never figure it out.
There's just interesting stuff. I guess he's kind of like he just feels like stepped on by society, and he's like, well, I'm gonna get my bag, if it were, by doing these convoluted schemes, but then he goes out of that and he kind of becomes more of a street level.
I
like it.
All right. Anyone else want to say anything before we move on to his next thing? Javi, anything on the Prowler?
No, he was actually one of my contenders, but I feel like between Into the Spider-Verse and the Miles Morales game and the Beyond stuff, that he wasn't necessarily being underutilized. But if you look at it as Hobie, then maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I think Hobie's an important character because he's, someone that Spidey taught him the error of his ways. He didn't just like beat him up and throw him in jail. He helped reform him, and he trusted him so much that he even had him dress up as Spider-Man so he could pretend that he was Peter.
Dude, I love that too.
At least.
Yeah. Like it would be cool to see him come back more in that capacity as a confidant for Peter / Spider-Man.
Agreed.
Where, he could rely not just, Johnny, because God knows what the Fantastic Four is doing. You could probably depend on Hobie more to be around and help you out.
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, I like the Uncle Aaron version too. Like,
both great. They're both good.
Really
a good way to reimagine the character. And I'm wondering if, because of his popularity from the game and the movie, that maybe they're trying to push Hobie more as Spider-Punk, since he's got that series now too.
Right.
Ooh,
or how about or the Hornet, like the 616 universe, or heaven forbid, what if we did have two Prowlers and then like Hobie and him now have a rivalry because he's stealing from his.
That could be really fun, man.
Come on,
Prowler
guys.
Wars.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Let's do it.
It's not
Miles
hard.
and Peter crossover.
Yeah, Marvel. It's not hard, people. I can pitch this stuff all day. Come on, this is not difficult. All right. So who's next on your list, sir?
Who should I go to next? I'll go to Spider Slayer.
Yeah, boy. Interesting. Just kidding. I already went.
Yeah, I picked this. It was either this page or one that had Spidey on it, but there wasn't. It was just kind of like Jonah in the robot jumping around. So I was like, oh, let's do this one because he's all tangled up. No, it's just I think that dude, this issue changed my life. I'm serious. Like,
no, Kevin.
No, but this is, dude. This was a formative issue for me. It was in that. It was reprinted in the late '90s in that big issue, and I saw this. Yeah. I saw the Ditko art, and I was like, "Holy crap! This is incredible stuff." That's because I had never seen Spidey look like that before. Maybe like the '60s cartoon, but not a whole comic of it. So I was like, "Oh man." Yeah, I don't know. I think the Spider Slayers are kind of cool because they're killer robots that are part of Jonah's, mission to defeat Spider-Man. And he gets these poor guys to do it. And then, spoilers, the father dies. And then the son is just kind of, originally he's like a basement dweller who's like, well, I'm going to avenge you, I guess. And then he goes into his own, he goes like in the 90s animated show direction where, this stuff where he starts experimenting more. He does this stuff and he experiments on himself and he becomes, the ultimate Spider Slayer. I think what he called himself. Yeah. So I think,
Alistair, I'm sorry,
but yeah, I don't know. There's a legacy aspect. It's something not really done a lot. I don't know. You could do a ton of stuff with that in the adaptations and the comics more. I think I don't remember. Is he dead in the comics? I can't, because I think Superior killed him.
Yeah, I don't. Well,
I don't remember. I know it doesn't. He can come back. He's basically like a machine mostly now.
Unless he came back in Clone Conspiracy.
Yeah, he might have actually.
I don't want to think about that series.
Well, Paul, like it's there.
I know. I didn't say ignored it. I don't say I don't think it exists. I say I don't like to think about it. That's all I said.
But I think something about the Alistair version that gets overlooked so much is how instrumental he was in Peter and MJ's engagement.
I was just gonna say that. I read. Yeah.
Like.
He's a complete loser in that series. Like
That's what I'm saying. He's a basement dweller looking parody, satire thing.
Yeah. Sorry, Javi.
No, I was just going to say, like, I feel where Adam's coming from, because this was one of, again, I feel like every time I'm talking about this is one of my favorite issues as a kid. But that's just how good, like, Spider-Man was. When you're a kid reading Spider-Man, like, every issue is, like, such a good issue. And yeah, I mean, it felt like every time I dipped into the series, there was like another Spider Slayer story. So
yeah, there hasn't been a ton of those. And for the record, my introduction to Spider Slayers was this miniseries, this arc in Amazing.
Nice.
And I loved it. I loved the Spider Slayers. And then obviously this came only a couple years later. They had the animated series, went heavy into the Spider Slayers. I just want to also reference amazing Bagley art. Look at this amazing robot and also Spider-Man, how rad he looks, which I'm almost positive this is actually like art they've used for like promo like stuff at some point. The way
they
he's
definitely have.
I swear I've seen that before. Or something very similar to that. And then obviously his Black Cat. I think Bagley's Black Cat is, I mean, really good. Like, I mean, especially in this issue, like it's like she comes back for the first time in a long time. And there's like it's not like a splash page, but it's like the anchor of the page basically.
It's basically it kind of is a splash page, but it's like
you know what I'm saying.
Panels.
Right.
I've seen it, yeah.
It's the anchor.
It shows off like her new
costume
suit and everything, which is very revealing.
Well, it's revealing, but it's not complete. Like, I don't know. I think he actually draws her with a little bit more relaxed. He's tamer than most people. I'll say that.
Right. That's fair.
I do think I love the way he draws Black Cat. I think it's phenomenal. I think we missed out on a Black Cat series with him for sure. At some point, maybe in the future we'll get it. I don't know, but yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to take over your Spider Slayers. Sorry.
That's okay. No, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. You can do a lot with killer robots.
Do a lot with them,
and a lot with just like there is like with the humans behind them. You can do some stuff because this is good stuff for the MCU.
Yeah,
with J. Jonah Jameson the way he is in the MCU.
Yeah,
dude. And robots. I mean, think about this too. I mean, you can have Spider-Man going crazy with robots, but I mean,
exactly.
See, this is the one thing I will say that I'm glad they haven't gone full robot because we've already got a little bit of that with in Far From Home, with the drone and stuff, and I think there's a balance, right? And I think the reason why I want there to be a balance is because I want this still. I think I think you can have the robots but lead up to this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that to me is what makes, because this is cool. I think that's cool. And so I think you give me the ultimate Spider Slayer with all the other stuff. I think you got a winning movie on your hands, to be honest, or a winning franchise if you're Sony.
Oh gosh,
the Spider Slayer franchise.
Spider Smythe, the movie Smythe. It's just called Smythe.
It's our Transformers franchise. Oh my god.
All right. Get Michael Bay to direct.
Oh god, kill me. All right. Anyway, so who else do you have on your list here, sir?
Beetle.
Beetle. The Beatles.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Beetle. I just think again, that costume is fantastic, and
I love the costume. This is phenomenal.
And even the original Ditko look is, or well, I don't know if it was really. I don't know if Ditko first did that, but like when Ditko does it in issue 21 of the first volume, it's funky and it's kind of weird and
cool, man.
It's a weird one. There's no doubt.
It's just that blank expression. It can be scary if you do it right.
Yeah, it can be. It's Smythe in time. I love these people coming. This is a good one, Adam.
Mike, yeah.
And I know that Beetle has basically gone through this whole thing where he's like essentially reformed.
He's Mark 5 or 4, whatever he is, right? Whatever the mark he is.
Citizen 5? Yeah.
Was it?
Is it Citizen 5?
Wasn't that Zemo?
Oh, you're right. Shh, spoiler alert.
Yes, that's a spoiler. I'm sorry.
God damn it. Javi, what are you doing?
Spoiler for a 25-year-old comic.
So, I know.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a cool look.
It's a phenomenal look.
Yeah,
Who designed that? Who designed this?
I want to say it might have been Byrne that it first appears in Spectacular.
God, it looks so
I think Byrne does it in Spectacular first, but I'm not sure if he designed it. And I might be wrong on that. But
dude,
there's an arc where he gets this costume in Spec, and it's like, it's the new Beetle, and
I think you're right.
Watch out.
It's either him or Milgram, maybe. I think you're right though. I think it is Byrne. Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. Beetle is a major character, and he's awesome. And I'm with you. To be honest, I actually like the idea of either using this old costume and then in going that way. I still like the new Beetle, obviously, Tombstone's daughter.
The thing is too is like it's Janice Lincoln, Tombstone's daughter. She's the new Beetle. Like you can tie that into it too. If you want to do like if it's like an adaptation, you can do a thing. Yeah, you can bring in like You can bring in this old Beetle. There's all the stuff we've talked about is like just ripe for the next phase of Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah, I'm with you. Beetle's awesome. Beetle's awesome. Even this crazy looking thing of that Ditko gave us is insane.
I mean, those long suction fingers are kind of scary.
They're so basic. They're scary. Who I think you have one left, sir?
I have one more. It's the big one.
Well, before we move on to that, his hands, they kind of remind me of the War of the Worlds movie.
Yeah,
the 50s one. Like the hands and that kind of had fingers like that. I wonder if Ditko got inspired by that.
Would not be shocked. You know, I'll need to ask Alex Grant, because he's a big Ditko guy and talks with the Grant or his nephew. So maybe they might have some insight on that. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, so sir Adam, what's your last one, my friend?
Now this is, if we were ranking it, this is definitely my number one.
Okay,
is Scorpion.
I was this close. Great minds think alike. I was this close.
This is dude. By the way, I love this comic. Is this when who's inking him on this one?
It's just him, right?
It
says Sabushima art.
Well, no, but someone's inking him. Like, it's a heavy inker.
He is.
Dude, I loved this comic book series. These 2 issues that he comes in, like it looks phenomenal. I love the way he looks. He looks incredible.
This is his best look by far.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said this before. I said this on the here you go. The on the Spidey Dude show, one of the first episodes we did, when he comes in that Spencer arc, I basically made the bold claim that this is like proto Venom. This is the anti Spider-Man. And again, it's another Jonah problem. It's another problem that Jonah makes.
It's right there.
And the thing is I think there's a lot you can do with this guy. His look is incredible. He's unhinged, mentally unstable. Sometimes he thinks he's trapped in his costume. In this issue here, he thinks he's trapped in his costume. And they adapted that in the 90s show, where he actually was, I think, trapped in it. He couldn't take it off.
Yep.
It's interesting that he's just like, being the Scorpion is awful. It's ruined my life. Jameson's ruined my life. I want revenge. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. It's very compelling. And I think he's just I think this is a guy that they need to use more, and they need to adapt him. And again, the setup is right there in the MCU.
It's right there.
He's awesome.
I would even say, like, you have this, you combine some Spider Slayer stuff, you have this maybe be like the first kind of failed Spider Slayer thing, where it's it's like what we did is we tried it with a human, but that didn't work. The guy went nuts, so I'm just going to do robots. But the robots and the whole thing is the downfall of Spencer Smythe. And then the son takes over, and he's like, okay, I'm going to keep going. But then it's like, well, the robots aren't working, so I'm going to go and do it myself. There's a whole thing you can do there.
I love it, brother.
Dude, I love it. Scorpion's always been a really interesting character, and I'm with you. He's definitely been underutilized as far as he's been in a lot of stuff. They haven't really used him always the right way. When you use him the right way, which I think DeMatteis and Buscema did. I think it's DeMatteis who wrote that issue. Is it DeMatteis? No, DeFalco.
No, it's DeFalco, dude.
Yeah, like this is the way you do it, the character, and I think that Michelini did some of the better ones. I liked all his 90s stuff, this is great.
So Adam, would you want to see him become Venom again?
Oh, what I was gonna say too is, like, since Venom is kind of more or less off the table in Spider-Man, like he's not really a villain for Spider-Man anymore. You have Scorpion take his place, not necessarily become Venom again, but I think it is interesting that they made him Venom, because, like I said, I have this wild idea that he kind of is the precursor to Venom. Yeah. Like, would we have Venom if it weren't for this guy? I mean, maybe.
Right here, Adam.
But this
monumental.
I just like the idea that, like, you know, he's this evil arachnid and
Yeah.
Spider-Man's the good arachnid, you know. Venom again, I'm not sure. I guess if you want to have a Venom, I guess, you know, for Spider-Man to fight, I guess you could give it back
we don't need
Scorpion.
another Venom. We've got
Like I'm kind of playing the field here. It's like yes and no. I would prefer Scorpion.
all right.
Well, they got Gargan in the MCU, dude.
I know.
And,
now that
and it's
Michael
a great
Mando,
casting. It's a great casting.
Yeah,
I know.
He's done with Better Call Saul. It's time to use him.
I know.
No spoilers on Better Call Saul 2, by the way.
Oh, dude, you're gonna flip out when you get to the last season.
Stop it. All right, I can't wait. I'm on season 4, so I'm excited. I'm almost there. All right, so anyone want to add anything before we move on to the last? And I'll make it quick, so we're running late, but we knew we were gonna be running late.
It's just all been fantastic.
I know it has been.
Yeah.
I don't even care if people don't like it because I have too much fun. Are we good with Adam's list, my friends?
Let's do it.
Solid list, man.
We have adjourned Adam's list.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
The defense rests.
I only went last because I want honestly, because no one stays all the way to watch videos, so I'd rather go last because it's true. It's fine. I don't care. It's
You're
fine.
golden, brother. You're golden.
I appreciate it. So I'm gonna be off kilter a little bit.
They should stay until the end because you're usually on fire and you're very passionate, and people need to see that.
You're so sweet. I love you, Adam. That's why I have you around.
And you don't want to miss the Nico post-credit scene.
That's right. He's got. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, so I'm going to start off with I'll start off with one that we already talked about, which I'll be honest, I was trying to think about. I'm thinking about. There's a couple on my list. I'm forgetting someone obvious, and I'm just like, what the hell? Who am I forgetting? And then Javi sent me his list. I went, it's Molten Man. I forgot because there's a reason why. All right, so I love the Molten Man, and it's because of the ties with Green Goblin. And the fact that he's kind of quasi related with the Green Goblin, he's family with him, and there's something interesting. It's something interesting about him because he's an everyday guy, but he's trapped. Like he's literally an everyday guy, but he's metal, right?
Yeah.
And I know Kurt Busiek did like a kind of like almost a similar kind of idea of that character. But he's silver, and it's in Astro City. Which is great, which I think is a Tarnished Angel or something like that. It's a fantastic comic. Go read it. I haven't read it in years, but I remember reading it and I loved it. It's very much like the Molten Man, basically, but he's like an older character. But this guy is like, he's probably his 30s, mid 30s, 40s. And
40s, I would say maybe.
Yeah, and
he's old. He reads older.
Right. But he just has this guy who's been kind of hanging around, but he hasn't. What I find intriguing about him is that he hasn't really gone he had in the 80s, he went a little bit crazy. He came back and was like he's going crazy with his powers and stuff like that, but they kind of took that out. And now he's just kind of a regular guy. He's just kind of hanging out. And I think what's interesting about him is that he is this gold dude just hanging out. He hasn't really done a lot. Like he's not in a lot of comic books. He's in a decent amount, but not a lot. So he really is kind of like almost, what is he? Is he just laying low? Kind of a thing that I like.
That. Do you have that picture from Spec where he's like wearing the cap and a coat?
No, but you know what? But it's Sal Buscema, the way he draws him.
Exactly.
That I was drawn to the character initially. And I think that's what I like about him. There's something about him there's a normalcy to him that I'm really drawn to, and I like that about him. And I think that there's in Spider-Man and outside of Spider-Man, like I'm just gonna say right now, I don't have very many pitches that I could ever stand behind of like any character or characters of stories like of Marvel. I'm not that type of person. But I have a team book pitch with Molten Man in it. That's all I'm gonna say. Ooh. And I've always liked Molten Man. And so when Javi, I'm trying to dab my brain. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, he showed me. I'm like, Molten Man. How could I forget Molten Man? So Molten Man, definitely. I just really quick before I move on, I just love this issue of Spec. I think it's 189. When Molten Man just is like, I'm gonna take on Harry, and he gets his A rung, and he's Molten Man. Like he's strong, but he gets destroyed. And I like that about the character, that he's not, he's superhero or he's superhuman or whatever, but he's not good. He's just like an average dude. and I like that about him. So there's really, I think to me, there's a lot of interesting story aspects you could do with this character because of just how just kind of he's not really anything. He's just kind of there. So that's Multiman. Lots of great potential there, I think. So let's get some comics here real quick. We've got oh my god,
Gargan time. He keeps going out with.
It's true. It is Gargan time. All right. So the next one I'm going to do is one that again kind of falls in line with this a little bit, and I don't know why he doesn't show up more. But is Will-O-the-Wisp, man? Like he's really interesting. Like I almost feel like there is a Doc Manhattan vibe waiting for him to be untapped, and not
you know
what I'm saying, and
I get that, yeah,
and not in a way where it's like I am God, but it's almost like I feel like he could have that complex.
Yeah.
And then, but not be God, so he can be
like
humble.
I'm a supernatural being now.
Yeah,
I'm not earthly anymore.
Yeah, I am no longer a human. I am now an entity.
Something else, yeah.
But really, he is still a human being. He's just particles are everywhere, and he's not that powerful. You know what I mean? Like, there's something really interesting, and his power level is powerful too at the same time, right? So I feel like there's lots of cool stories you could have, like him, fight Spider-Man, and then also all of a sudden be like teaming up with Spider-Man, which he's done throughout his career as a superhero. He's part of the Outlaws, obviously. If you don't know what that is, I mean, there's
look at the episode cover.
yeah, exactly.
Thumbnail.
The whole cover. It's a really interesting. He's an interesting character again that people just don't really think about or talk about because he's Will-O-the-Wisp. He's weird, So I don't know. I like the character. I think it's interesting. I know we already talked about Multiman. Anyone have anything else to say about Will-O-the-Wisp? Javi, I know you got something to say about Willow here. You got
wasn't he like a John Romita Jr. co-creation? Am I remembering that right?
I think so.
I think he must.
He was brought back by John Romita Jr. here, but he was created by, I want to say the Len Wein, like I think it was Ross Andrew, I think is who helped co-create
it first.
Okay, I think so.
It might be.
I could be wrong.
Denny O'Neil. It might be. It might be
Denny O'Neil.
It might be Wolfman. I'm not sure. It's like it's in that era of like.
It's in. I want to say Len Wein
and Denny O'Neil.
Yeah, I think Wein did it. I think Wein was the one who created him, but it was Stern who brought him back, I thought, and really made him like a more interesting character.
Yeah.
He shows up again with like Killer Shriek and Spectacular, but it's amazing when Stern gets him back and actually gives him more credence and just more interesting, like emotional storytelling. And I think honestly, he does tap a little bit into that I'm a god.
Yeah.
I like your perception of that Dr. Manhattan vibe, because now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that totally does make sense for.
But he's not. But he's right. But he's not Dr. Manhattan. He's like not that powerful. So like I feel like he can be like, I am God, and then someone goes, no, you're not, and then kicks his ass, and he's like, oh God, I'm not God.
Yeah.
Like there's a fun, like cool story about that. Just saying, Marvel. You can hire me anytime you want. Right there. Actually, and I say just for the record, I would never want to work for Marvel except for like 2 projects and that's it. Because I don't ever want to get too close to this shit.
It's very hip of you to say.
I respect.
Very indie. It's very punk rock.
It's because it will ruin it for me. Because first of all, I'm not that good. But second of all, like if I ever did, I would be bummed out because it's true what they say. Never meet your heroes. That's all I gotta say.
Editorial man will kill you.
Will kill you. So anyway, anyone else want to say anything before I move on to my third?
No, let's see it.
It's a good pick,
guys.
Let's do it.
This one's a personal favorite, and
Frogman.
No, I told you Frogman's not on this.
I know.
Yeah, but it's not far off either, though. See, my whole things are all mixed up. I gotta find it here. I know I added it the other day, so I gotta find it here.
God, now I'm on the edge of my seat even more.
I know. It's like, God, where did I put it? It's like I thought I added it, but I guess I didn't. Damn it. All right. Well, anyway, without much further ado, one of my favorite characters that has shown up like literally 4 or 5 times, and I wish I added this cover, but the Steel mother effing.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, dude.
my Lanta.
Now, for those who don't know, I again, because I'm terrible at this whole YouTube game. I forgot to add the cover that I was looking for. That he was first introduced as the Spectacular Spider Kid. Ollie Osnick, whatever his name is.
That's his name.
I think I say his name.
Yep.
He was this like overweight kid who was obsessed with Spider-Man, wore glasses on the outside of his thing. And
well, first he was obsessed with Doc Ock, I believe.
Excuse me. Okay, all right, you're right. You're right. All right. I stand corrected, but you're right. And then, which is awesome because he actually has a tie with Frogman because he joins up with Frogman and the Toad from. That's a really random story. They become the Misfits for like one issue with the three of them. So fast forward, I picked up this comic at a Rite Aid pharmacy with a big stack of comic books. My dad went to the pharmacy, and of course, I went right to the comics and grabbed a couple. This was in Spider-Man Unlimited issue 5. And the Steel Spider shows up, and it's the same character. He's lost weight. All of a sudden, he becomes this guy. And I love this character. I thought he looked pretty rad. And he never showed up.
For sure, man.
He never showed up again. Ever. Until, again, I can't believe I can't find this. God, I can bring the cover. Warren Ellis brought him back for his Thunderbolts run. And so this all during Civil War, this is all post Civil War, when you had to register as heroes, he refused, and he was on the run basically and just being isolating himself. And Venom does this to him.
No.
And rips his arm off.
Yeah, wait.
Now, I just want to say for right now, if you read those comics right now, they're fantastic. And Ellis, and canceled or not, whatever. He's a great writer. He's also a POS. I get it, like whatever. But those Thunderbolt comics are fantastic, and those issues in particular that with Steel Spider is so good. And I loved it. I'm like, I was geeking out when he brought him back, and when he tore off his arm, I'm like, oh my god! I thought, oh, there's so much great storytelling with that, and he hasn't shown up since. And I'm talking about pitches, man. I mean, I'm not even for me. I'm like, the story writes itself.
Yeah,
dude is like missing an arm. He's bitter. Like, became a villain. Make whatever. Like, there is so much there with that character that I think is there. And Steel Spider is just, he's ripe for the picking. Sony movie, here you go. Like, here,
I love it.
I mean, come on, guys. I just have this obsession with Steel Spider, and he's great. I think he's great. So, yeah, go check. The issues you gotta check out are those Thunderbolts issues. It's basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it. I haven't done this.
No, they're great. Mike Diodato, baby, is incredible, and they play off Steel Spider and everything with Spider-Man. It's cool. Like it's worth reading. It's fantastic. So yeah, Steel Spider is fantastic. Yeah, it actually is a cool looking suit.
It is.
And the hilarious
thing, newer one.
Yeah, well, dude, the newer one too. If you look here, it's the same thing basically. It's touched up a little bit, but it's the same thing as this. It's just it's a little bit. The arms are a little bit cooler, but like it's a cool outfit. Like it's rad. And like I said, Diodato art is incredible in this.
Just give him a steel arm,
or have no arm.
Like do a Misty Knight and give him a steel arm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's back in business.
I think there's again his obsession with Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus, and him being bitten by a Spider-Man, basically, in Venom. Like there's so much storytelling with emotional baggage that he has. Because if you read the comic book, he's already emotionally deranged because of what's going on with the Initiative. So Ellis really does those first 5-6 issues are so good. Like they're so good. I recommend reading them. All right, moving on. We're going late. I apologize.
Dude, keep cooking.
Okay, hold on. How many have I done so far? I think I've done.
I could do this all day, man.
I know.
All day. That's Captain Hobbit.
Done. Okay,
You're on 4 and 5. Yeah.
Hold on, I got 2 more. Did I skip one by accident? Shoot, man, I may have done that. I forgot to add one more. Hold on. All right, I'll go to the next one. I'll figure it out. Whoops, that's not it. Commanda.
Wow.
This one
Damn.
is interesting. I picked her because Kurt Busiek wrote this character, introduced this character in Untold Tales of Spider-Man, which is just ripe for the picking of like tons of characters. He introduces a tons of characters and really interweaves the original Ditko Stan Lee stuff really well.
Yeah.
Some people on certain message boards would argue with me, like when Peter David did this similarly with the symbiote Spider-Man, that it was all inaccurate and it was all this and this characterization, this. And I went, you should go read Kurt Busiek's Untold Tales of Spider-Man and tell me the same thing. Because he introduces lots of characters that no one talks about in Stan Lee's run. I can tell you that much. So shut up. Anyway, you can come at me anytime, by the way. But yeah, but this is a comic book character that was really fun because Commanda was like, she used her womanly charm on Spider-Man, and it was the first time in Spider-Man's career that a woman kind of did that to him. And it was interesting. And it was not done in a distasteful like 90s way, even though these were 90s comic books.
Oh yeah, the 90s were.
It was done well, I thought. I didn't think it was bad. And I thought it was intasteful. And the weird thing is, she shows up in this issue and super fun, and it's all, and again, I uploaded a bunch of stuff and it didn't all upload. I apologize. But her crown is like magnetism, like, or it's like telekinesis, right? Nice. So she can control like everything by that. And when he's about to like basically take her out at the very end of the issue, she goes like, basically the cops come in and she's like, oh my God, Spider-Man's almost gonna hurt me. I'm an innocent woman, and all that stuff. And they're like, how dare you, Spider-Man? And he's like, oh my God, it's just hilarious. And the crazy thing is, I love the costume. I think the costume's great. She doesn't show up again until literally the jackpot character reveal.
God.
And she's only in as an accomplice of the other character. I was like, holy crap. And she's just fun. She's a fun character. And the way Kurt's a great writer, but the way Kurt writes her is so good. I'm like, man, this is a good character. Like they can bring her back and they do really cool stuff with. So anyway, Commanda. And guys, I think honestly, I forgot to do a fourth one. Straight up. I think I forgot.
Really?
I got so tied up with everything. I forgot to do my fourth one. So
off the top of your head, go.
I'm just gonna go with I think I added them, and I meant to go back and get another one, but I'm gonna go Batwing with Untold Tales. And again, I'll have a picture. Nice. Batwing was another cool character that he introduced that they kind of did a little bit here and there. Dan Slott did some stuff with the Initiative, Avengers Initiative comics that he showed up in.
That's right.
He's a cool character. But they haven't done. He's not like the Man Bat from Batman. He's basically Man Bat, but a younger version. But he's on the run. He's like a
teenager, right? When he showed up in Untold.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's really cool stuff you could have done with that character, I thought. So I appreciate that, man, boy. Yeah. So I liked Batwing. The truth be told, the Untold Tales of Spider-Man is ripe with just tons of great new characters that don't interweave with the original Stan Lee, Steve Ditko stuff, and it's still amazing. So don't let that ruin it for you. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyone want to add anything before I close out my top five?
Well, I don't remember Commanda. Like, I mean, you showed the picture. I remember her name, but I haven't read those in so long. And I gave my Untold Tales to Michael Bailey like over a decade ago.
How dare you?
I know, but there's an omnibus now that I've got my eye on.
The omnibus
and two trades. The second trade's coming out soon.
I appreciate now that she's got the Ditko color scheme. She's
right. She does, yeah.
Like she fits in with that era really well.
Yeah.
I just wish I could remember more about that story.
It's and that's a cool thing about Untold Tales is that it's just so short, one and dones, and just kind of really, what Kurt did was he really went in to make characters that brought out that younger aspect. And that maybe that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko either couldn't do or didn't think to do, and brought that up and brought up certain issues with one of the favorite things about the character is like, Sally and Tiny, all great.
Jason.
Yeah. And so, and these are characters you don't hear about in the comic books, but you don't care, right? Like, because again, just such great storytelling. Bluebird, I love Bluebird, but I don't want to reveal what happens, but there's a reason why Bluebird's not on this list necessarily. But you could bring her back, and not necessarily that same character, but the costume and stuff. I thought the costume was great. So yeah, I love Untold Tales. I mean, I eventually want to do an Astro City like retrospective where we go through all the Astro City comic books, and maybe when the channel gets bigger and people actually give a shit about it.
Hey, people already give a shit about it. I promise you, brother.
I know, but I mean, why does mean I want not because for me, I want people reason why I wait to get a few more subscribers is because I want people to enjoy these Astro City comics because they're so freaking amazing, and I want people to introduce it to them, So anyway, Commanda, the whole Untold Tales of Spider-Man, go read it, but Commanda herself is pretty fun, so definitely recommend checking that out. And it's a one and done issue. Read it once, it's super. It's you'll love it. It's super great.
It's giving a shit, dude. I love this guy.
Mike is hilarious, dude. He's on the Rocketeer episode. If you watch that, he's on the Rocketeer. And he'll come back for more episodes in the future because I know he's a Spider-Man fan too. So
nice.
So anyway, Spider-Man, my council or my top 5 has been adjourned here. So parting shots, anyone, before Nico gets his post-credit scene.
It sounds like Batwing is primed and ready for facing off Morbius and Morbius 2.
Oh yeah,
dude. I mean, straight up,
they really could use some of these people as antagonists in these Sony films, though. Like they really could. Like
Iguana.
Iguana.
That was a fun. It's in spec. I have the masterworks of those. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun couple issues.
Stegron?
Yeah, I just read this stuff like 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, those are all monsters you could bring in for Morbius.
Yeah, a lot of those animal like monster villains.
Yeah, it'd be fun, and it lines up because if you use the bat motif, you have the dinosaur, you have the the iguana. I mean, you don't have to use a lizard necessarily, but we get Batwing's a great example. There's so many monster characters. I mean, there's so many monster characters you could use for Morbius the film. So. Anyone else before Nico has his last say?
No.
Anyone else want to comment about the list?
Great character, fantastic, and some of which that I don't even know that I got to go to educate myself on.
Kevin,
super cool. Kevin
itself. I'm telling you, MCU are going to be using that.
I've heard rumors of Kevin.
I'm telling you, man. Kevin's going to show up in the MCU. It's gonna happen.
I'm telling you, we have to go to Vegas and bet this is gonna happen in 5
years.
Dude,
I'm not even joking. Javi, I'm not even joking.
No, hold on. It won't be Taika who voices him. It'll be Matt Berry who voices him.
Oh wow.
Well, he doesn't have a voice. He just has like symbols.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you were saying someone was saying that Taika Waititi would voice him.
Oh me. Well, if he was directing Spidey, like if he
had
it, he would totally self-indulge there.
Well, before we all say goodbye, Nico, what did you want to add for your little spiel, your post-credit scene? You get the last word.
I jokingly told you that it was like I changed it like 9 times. And Robbie beat out. I was gonna go straight villain, so Robbie beat out Scorpion, and then someone who I really wanted to put on, but the other 5 were more compelling. That I genuinely am shocked no one else had was Hydro Man. I was really going to put Hydro Man on there because of the 90s cartoon stuff, but also his utilization, how you can tie him into MJ and stuff going forward.
Sure.
But there's a lot of reasons I dislike this movie, and I don't want to get into it, but who else is I was so furious that it was merchandising only, but Far From Home used like Molten Man and Hydro Man technically. That pissed me off at the time because I'm like, I'm more partial to Hydro Man than Molten Man, but I have a really nice appreciation for the both. I'm a big Hydro Man person. I was like mad that they like did the thing they do where they like use them in name only as those like elementals. because I'm like,
Yeah.
God, like you all beautifully said for so many of your characters, but for you two who use the Molten Man, I'm like, you're right, man. It's so rich and it's like this silly CGI thing. And like the marketing and the merchandise now has Molten Man and Hydro Man are out there, and they're not the characters.
It's not them.
Yeah.
And now
Right,
you have
that's
the people.
Spidey fan in me.
They're
Man.
holograms.
Yeah. Well, so that's something like I was just curious if you guys as diehard Spidey fans were as mad as I was. Like that's like a sweaty fan reason to be mad at parts.
Yeah.
I was annoyed that like when the trailers came, because there were a lot of rumors like before the movie came out with Scooper saying like Hydro Man's gonna be a villain in the movie, and I'm like, oh, this is sick because it's just like the word of mouth from scripts. And it turns out they were literally just these CGI things. So when those trailers started coming out, I'm like, so help me God, are they just these holograms? And then they were. So that's one of many reasons.
Far From Home is it's not the best. It
despise Far.
It's annoying just because you get people's hopes up, and then you have people say like, and then people are like, well, they're in there already as these things, but it's like, well, that's not the case. That's
No,
it was just it's the path of least resistance. It's the easiest thing you could do is just like, oh, these are like monsters created by Mysterio.
Yeah,
essentially.
The reason why I didn't really mind. I was annoyed for sure. But in the end, I knew they weren't going to bring those characters in anyway. They're just too. I mean, like, it's like, okay, they'll show up eventually, but in this, no. There's just too many. There's too many mainstream characters they want to use. You know,
heavy hitters. Yeah.
Like Scorpion. I mean, he's tailor made for
Dude, they have to do it. I'm telling you, they have to.
He's
do
the
Scorpion.
most. I would argue he's the most ready of everything we talked about today.
They're set up.
Scorpion and Kevin are the two most teed up things.
I can already picture
teed up things.
I can picture like Tom Holland opening his fridge and be like, "Oh, hey, Kevin," and it's played straight, like, and it's just like, why is he talking to this moldy piece of cheese?
Yeah, dude, it's there, guys. Whoops. Meeting has been adjourned. I have been a blast. I usually like to keep these shows about an hour long, but I knew Spidey Council is just off. We just do what the hell we want because it's too much fun. So
that was council. We love it.
We're the council, man. We got to do it. So I had a blast. This was amazing. You guys honored me by staying up late with me. First, not Adam necessarily. We're the same time zone, but you guys are up late. So, thank you so much, Javi, Nico, Adam. Man. It's been so much fun. I love it. So yeah, we'll kind of go around the horn here. Nico, where can people find your stuff at, man?
You can follow me at Nico Caruso, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, and basically just go to my Twitter. I do a lot of stuff there. Just go follow me, find all the shows I do coming out, come DM, come text me, do whatever. I love talking about primarily everything, but Spidey is the key to my heart. Like Javi sent me some gorgeous Spidey artwork today that really got me going and got me extra hyped for tonight. So just
as Javi does
like that, as he does.
Thanks, man.
The professor
himself, Professor Hav. All right, Mr. Javi, where can people find you at, sir?
Well, at ASM_classics is a podcast I do with my son. Hopefully I'll get the next episode out this week once I get a moment to actually post it. It's been edited for a week. But it's my son and I. We're starting off at the beginning with Amazing Fantasy 15 and then just going through Amazing Spider-Man. Where else am I? BatmanOnFilm.com. I just finished reviewing Batman Catwoman. Helped out with Batman 89 #6. And just waiting for some Black Label books to drop, and I'll review those too. And just at Javi True or at ASM Classics.
Yeah, and if you're not following him or that on Twitter, shame on you because Javi needs more followers ASAP. He's a legit follow. So like seriously, if you're not, go follow this guy on Twitter. He's like seriously, I feel like comic books like Twitter's like best kept secret. Like Javi's is awesome.
By far.
Like by far. I'm not no bullshit, dude. I'm not bullshit. Like I'm being when I saw the other day, a couple months ago, I saw you had 300 followers. I'm like, what the what? Like, no, like I refuse to believe Javi only has no, Javi needs more. Like Javi deserves more because you're awesome. So anyway, Javi,
thank you.
Go follow Javi. All his stuff. He's worth it. Trust me. And also someone who's worth it, Mr. Adam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Enchilada legs.
Enchilada legs on Twitter and Spidey Dude Experience on the Spidey Dude Radio Network on YouTube, and there's a website, spidey-dude.com. Me and Paul and Javi sometimes.
Yeah.
Zach, who's not here, we talk about the latest issues of ASM, Amazing Spider-Man, and we keep it real.
We do. I like to keep everyone honest. Be the contrarian of everybody for the most part.
I forgot to mention, since he brought up spideydude.com, yes. I posted on there today a link with our first council meeting and my show notes for the 3 movies that I pitched for that episode. That's finally up now. I finally got around to posting it today.
Hobbyverse.
So if you want to read my weird ramblings of what I think they could do with
it ain't weird
Spider-Man sequels, head over to spidey-dude.com.
It ain't weird. Trust me. That's
weird.
Weird.
Yeah. If that's wrong, I don't want to be right. Yeah. Exactly. That's all I gotta say. Exactly. So if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching the videos. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. Everything goes a long way for leaving comments, things like that. So again, Comic Binge is there to kind of promote the medium and the love of comic books and talk about them. So yeah, Chris will be back next. We have next week. We're gonna do the MCU required reading for Thor: Love and Thunder. We're gonna be reading the OG Thor Beta Ray Bill comic books by Walt Simonson himself. So get ready, because one of my best friends in the entire universe, Dave Valdez, aka Father's Figures on Instagram, is coming on, and Dave and I have known each other for 20 years now, and 20 plus years. God, been in both each other's weddings, and a dear friend. So I don't know why it's taking this long to get him on the show, but he's a huge Beta Ray Bill fan. So yeah, next week MCU required reading with him. And then we've got, obviously, a couple weeks we have Nico and his dad coming on. We'll do our Infinite Crisis. Dude, I'm having a blast with that.
Dude, it's a ball. It's so fun.
I have too much fun. I'm just like, I have too much fun doing this. I don't even care. I don't care if no one.
Good stuff. Like I said, I've only ever done these stories, the crisis stories. I've never done the in betweens of them all. Not a lot. So this stuff, it's been fun.
I know.
It's been.
And
fun.
we've got. We've only hit the beginning, because we've got the new 50. We have the 52 issues, which is 52 comic books.
It's gonna get wild.
It's gonna get nuts. It's gonna get nuts.
The Black Adam stuff in that is so good.
I can't wait.
I know. I haven't read it. I'm excited. So, and then at the very end of the month, we've got Star Wars. I have reread the entire Kieran Gillen run of Darth Vader, which
I can't wait. You were cooking. You were cooking. I saw. I love it. You were like that chef. You were cooking on those, dog.
Dude, and I loved it. It was so good. Like, it was better than I remembered. It was even better. Oh, man,
that's great.
It's pretty good. Gillen, he's a goddamn good writer too. It's still, I think, at this point, the third of the 3, which is saying a lot, because that means how good the other 2 are. The volume. Yeah, so. Yeah. But no, Gil, I can't wait to go on Marvel and Star Wars. We're going to do the whole run with Scott and Chris Carey. I don't know if Chris Clow is going to make that one. He's been really busy lately. But anyway, and the next month, I'm planning next month. It's got even crazier stuff going on. So anyway, Chris Clow's in here. So I'm going to tell everyone to read more comic books.